This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting live from the Margaritaville Terrace on Fort Myers Beach, 100 feet from the Gulf of America. Here are your award-winning social media superstars, the hosts of Beach Talk Radio, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Yeah, baby. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you guys coming out and watching the show and supporting the local businesses like Margaritaville and La Ola and everybody that came to the Islands Pancake House yesterday. It was a fabulous turnout, and we both had our cup of Jackass coffee this morning.
That was hilarious. Wow,
Man,
I'm really loud.
It was the funniest part about
it was perfect. It was so vintage Anita.
Yes.
It just was perfect.
Yeah.
And her response, I mean,
the thing is, when she said it, she realized she didn't realize
Right.
that she called it Jackass, or she either thought it was Jackass. And when I went like,
yeah, don't do that, because it's like a Brillo pad. You're all stubbly on your arms. I feel bad for Anita.
I didn't rub up against Anita,
you went
dear.
like that. You probably
You should have saw it. Did you guys see the walk around this morning with Rose? She kept touching me, and it was really making me horny.
I didn't.
No, I mean, I'm kidding about that. But no, before the show, she says to me,
so inappropriate.
"Oh, come on. They're all adults, dear. Please. There's no kids in the audience."
You're
she
a
says,
kid. You're a juvenile.
She says to me, you're a little too close to me. I love you, but you're a little too close. And I'm thinking, and I said, that pretty much means you don't love me when you say I'm too close to you.
Everybody needs a little personal space, and you're taking up too much of mine.
All right.
Oh.
She almost didn't make it today because, as you know now, if you follow us along, we have 3 dogs.
They're tired of hearing.
Petey's not here now because we have the dog.
Oh my
has.
God, I didn't even think about that.
The dog is going crazy, running everywhere. Running laps around the house now, and so. But Callie has had an operation on her back, and so
it's on her hip.
And she had the thing removed, but the dressing won't stay on, so it's just been fun. But we've had a lot of luck with dogs, right? We have until recently.
Like you do anything to help out other than you do take them out. But I am literally, I think I spent 3 hours this morning between feeding, passing out medications, everybody go outside to pee, everybody come in, everybody back out. And then Callie, 5 times I dressed that thing on her hip. Today was not the day, but I have to say that Silver Honey, I've been telling everybody, and I think somebody in the audience said they used it one time for a wound. If you get a wound and it won't heal, get this Silver Honey stuff or look into it.
For a dog or for a human?
No, I think it's for a human too,
really?
Right? Yeah.
Silver Honey.
That
Interesting.
stuff is working amazing on her. She's got a very deep, very large open area. So enough about that.
Yes. So what we're going to do today, obviously.
First you rubbing your arm on me, and then you talk about the dog.
So what we're going to do today is we have pictures here for the live audience. I've also got the pictures in the system so people that are watching are going to be able to see when Tom comes on and describes the new building. But first, we're going to have Jonna on from Margaritaville, and she's going to tell us. We always like to have somebody on from the resort to give you guys a kind of a quick rundown of what's going on here, because we love
some personal space.
We love Margaritaville and what they're doing here, and we're doing the drawing for one of the 3 prizes at 12 o'clock. But you probably might know
hold up one
Jonna
second.
from the cottage.
Hold up one second. Hang on one second. What did you do with the?
It's hard to gauge when the sun is actually going to.
It's not even over us.
You know, dear, all you do is do your hair and show up for the show at 11 o'clock. I've been here since 9 o'clock setting up here.
Go ahead.
Jonna.
Sorry.
Hi, good morning. Yes. Let's try to play well in the sandbox.
Are you married, by the way? Are you married? Yes. How long have you been married?
25 years.
Very nice.
Wait till you get to 30. That's where it all goes in the crapper.
Do you Do you need personal space from your husband? Like, would you sit this close to him without getting all creeped
Some occasions.
out? Yes.
Some occasions.
So
I
you
like
what,
your
what
earrings.
is?
Is that sea glass?
Oh, please.
That's
After-
from the Island Girl. That's
Very nice.
Oh, nice.
Moved
Can
up to
you
her store.
stay focused, dear?
Yeah.
Can you tell us, what do you know about the cottage? What's going on with the rebuild of the cottage? Anything new? I know that was started by the man without a plan, but where are we now? Anything
I
about?
don't think the man without a plan isn't with it anymore.
Oh, good. So what is the latest that you
Paul
know?
Shamu is the one that actually bought it. It was a regular at the cottage
Yes.
for a long time. What I know is that he posted a big post on Facebook for 2026. I really don't know any more than that.
There's nothing
I wish
in
I could
the-
share more. I haven't heard of groundbreaking news
Yeah.
or
It's been approved by the town, so it's ready to roll whenever it's
and
ready
he
to roll.
posted it, and he posted it with the picture of his plans
Yes.
on Facebook. So
But we don't know anything about. Okay.
I don't.
All right.
I don't.
Well,
and
you
I would
guys will know,
share.
right? Do you plan on going back there? Or will you stay here?
Wow.
Wow.
Or maybe
Don't
you
you
can.
now see? Don't you
Yeah.
want me
Little
us to
personal
start
space
fighting
there.
a
I'm
little
sorry
bit
about
more?
that. Sorry.
See?
Boy, that when the cottage
Oh,
comes
what a-
back, seriously though, when the cottage
Oh,
comes back
dear.
and the beach bar and the whale, it's going to be so nice driving down that corridor. And that
sure.
and the food truck park and Meyerside. I mean, the Estero Boulevard is going to be spectacular. So, tell us what's going on here at the resort.
Well, we're having a lot of fun. We had a great season, coming out of season now. Going into a little Cinco de Mayo
Oh,
on
yes.
Monday. We'll have our food specials and fun margaritas for everyone, a little spicy one, and then a fresh pina margarita posted on our website.
Mhm.
And then next weekend is Mother's Day. So celebration to the mamas. We will have our regular breakfast service going on, and then we'll do brunch specials with some drink specials also for the mamas.
Oh, thank you very
I know
much. These
Jake-
are our roadies
That's
that
nice.
follow us around to all
Very
the shows
nice.
that we have that
Thank
just
you.
carry the tent around.
It's getting a little hot. over
You
here.
can never time it right. So, by the way, just a little background information. So, John, so you stopped at the Walmart to get an extra tent because the La-di-da people stole all the tents
Stole my tent.
from the License to Chill people. So we had no tents this morning. So she stops by the Walmart and buys one of these blue tents. And we start setting it up, and it's broken. So the first tent that you bought was totally broken. So she had to race back to Walmart to get another tent. So we appreciate you doing all that
Yes,
for us.
thank
Yes.
you.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's unfortunate because we have one like that.
We
and
have
they-
two of them in our
they work.
backyard. They're
Then
great.
Chase told me there's a little broken piece, so I'll be
Yeah.
taking that one back too.
I think this entire audience right here is going to go down to Lottie Da after the show and commandeer the tents and bring them back up here so that we have them next weekend. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was there's no Mother's Day brunch, but you do a regular Sunday brunch now.
Well, we will have our regular service here for breakfast like we always do
Yes.
7 days a week, but we'll be offering brunch specials. JWB has started doing their brunch, and they will do a Mama's Day brunch. It will be their regular service brunch, 10 to 2.
And many
Yep.
people in this audience have already gone to the Sunday brunch and they love it.
Yep.
So, and it's 11 to 2. Is it
11 to 2.
11 to 2 is the time for the Sunday brunch. So
Yes.
anything else?
No, I do have a little sneak peek into something coming in June for License to Chill. We're going to be hosting our very first fashion show.
Oh, is that right? Do you
Oh.
need
So it'll be Margaritaville.
men
We
and
also
women or just
have
women?
Men and women.
Do you need a model?
Yes, we do actually.
Okay, very nice.
We'll be having a sign up sheet.
You're way too awkward to model.
And
You-
old.
You can't really sashay.
You have old people's clothes that you're gonna need modeled. 60 and over. What does 60 and over people model? Swim
Like,
trunks,
No.
diapers.
Adult depends. So all from
So,
over here.
Margaritaville is going to be the wear. Obviously, we've got tuna skin coming. We've got the Islander,
Sweet.
and then we have a few boutique shops up in Fort Myers that will be coming too, and they
Cool.
will bring their models.
Great idea.
You're gonna have a runway in the whole nine?
Yep.
Wow.
So
Very
I'll have
nice.
more details next week for the fashion show.
Awesome.
That's
All
exciting.
righty. Very nice. Well,
So,
thank you for coming
thank
on and
you.
filling us in on everything that's
Absolutely.
going on here at the resort.
My pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
She's like, it's her pleasure, except for the
Awkwardness.
yeah.
Let me invite Tom Houghton from La Ola on first. Tom is, you all know Tom.
Wow, the guests always get a bigger round of applause
Yes.
than we do.
And the first thing I said to Tom was, Tom, it's a very good idea that you come wearing a La Ola shirt so
Yes,
everybody
yes.
can see it. People in the audience have a La Ola shirt on. So, okay, you're good? All right.
Yeah, I
so,
got 'em all
so
set.
before we get, you're good.
No, you're on.
Before we get
You
started
just got to keep it close.
on the
Speak loud.
pictures, you have you wanted to start with the history of La Ola? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I know that you've been on the beach not only for a while with La Ola, but even before then. So can you give us a little bit of what was your first job on the beach and how did you then work up to La Ola?
Sure. So I'm originally from Maine, and we moved down in 2006.
Bear country?
So, bears, black bears, moose, deer.
Oh,
I grew up in a potato farm, so I grew up, started working at the age of 8, I believe, picking rocks and that kind of thing. And
that's child labor law.
yes, yeah, they didn't really enforce those back then. So, I went to college out of high school and planned on going back and running the farm eventually someday. And all of that kind of changed when we had the opportunity to sell the family farm and sent me in a different direction. So I ended up using my business degree and ended up doing finance in the car industry and then doing mortgages. When I moved down here, I intended to do something fun for one season and then get back into what I called a real job at the time. So one thing led to another. I just enjoyed it so much that
What was
I
your
never
first
went
job?
back. So my first job was at the Barking Shark. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that place.
The Barking Shark. Was that on the beach?
Yes.
Where?
Most recently, it was the Salty Crab.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just a little sidebar. The Salty Crab is rebuilding, and they are on the next agenda at the LPA, which is in June. They don't have a wait. What month are we in? May? No, it might be in May. It might be coming up in May because we just started May. So that's going to be rebuilt. There won't be any hotel units above the restaurant. It will be the Salty Crab. If you haven't seen the pictures, you can search on our website, and it really does look nice. I mean, so they're coming back. So what were the different names of that place? Do you remember?
So it was the Salty Crab, and then I believe it was Nemo's.
Is that right?
May have been one in between, but Nemo's. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
So
then
you were there, and then that was supposed to be just a 1-year fun kind of
Right. I think that turned into
like a gap year kind
that
of
turned
thing.
into 2 or 3, and then unfortunately the Barking Shark had to close its doors. I then went into Times Square for the first time, which is just down the street, and started working at the original Wahoo Willie's.
Oh,
That's right. For those
Nick
of you
and
that
Mary.
don't know, it was
Yep.
in a different spot, right?
Well, it's where Mango Rita's was right
Okay.
before the hurricane. Yeah,
Who
where
owned that at the time?
Nick and Mary.
Yeah.
Nick and Mary owned.
Ruling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
They
didn't know
own-
that.
They own that location, and they also own the Fishmonger.
Yeah, they've been on this island
Yes.
a
So
long time.
Wahoo Willie's had a small kitchen fire after a few years of working there.
Not your fault.
Not my fault. Not my fault. I was home that day. So that led to me actually going over and working for Nick and Mary at their other location at the Fishmonger. That's where I really learned they taught me how to bartend over there.
Where was the fishmonger?
On the
Right
other
over the
side.
bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right over the bridge on the left, right before Prescott Street.
Oh, all right. What is it now?
It's vacant. They tore it
Yeah.
down
Okay.
after Ian.
Is that the building where they have the signage now that says Wahoo Willie's on it in the corner where the light is?
They do parks and vehicles there.
What was the name of that? Somebody.
Shark Bar.
Oh, the Shark Bar. Yeah,
Yes.
we did a
Yep.
show there at the Shark Bar when the
Yep.
girl owned it. What was her name? She had a blonde. I haven't seen her in a while. Too.
No. Yeah.
Oh, she was. Yeah.
All right,
What was
you
her name?
digress.
No, dear, those kinds of historical things. I mean, if people start getting up and walking and leaving, dear, then that's a different story. But go
I
ahead,
can't
Tom.
remember. Go ahead.
Fishmonger.
So-
Then what?
So after the Fishmonger, Fishmonger closed at summertime, so I needed to keep working. And Tom and Renate List had just purchased Burrito A Go Go from the previous owners,
Which is the strip club now.
no.
Oh, Burrito
You
a
just-
Go Go.
You just love to find a way to work that into every
Well,
conversation.
we're going to own San Carlos Island
So,
soon anyway.
so the
we
building
might as
where we
well.
are currently was called the West Coast Surf Shop, and
Okay.
it had a small burrito stand called Burrito A Go Go.
Oh, Burrito A Go Go.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Gotcha. And you
Yep, and I
sold
believe-
burritos.
So they sold burritos,
Yeah.
tacos, quesadillas. I think they had they stored their extra keg in the bathroom. They just had one tap and had 3 or 4 tables out front when Tom and Renate bought it in 2010, and they changed the name to La Ola. So I was friends with them and working next door. And when Fishmonger closed for the summer, I had the opportunity to start working for them. So I've been working.
And what
Oh,
year?
yeah.
Now, what year was that? 2010?
I think my first shift was actually New Year's Eve going into 2011.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
year did you buy La Ola?
October of 2015. So coming up on 10 years now.
And how much did you buy it for?
So
Well, I'll
not
have to get back to you on
surprised
that
with
one.
that
I mean, you don't
question.
have to answer it if you don't want to. So 2015, you bought it.
Yep.
And such a unique piece of property there. I mean, basically a small bar on the inside with tables, and then a lot of tables outside, and you had entertainment. And when you first came over the bridge after Hurricane Ian, and you saw what you saw, what went through your mind?
Well, I'd gotten a little heads up.
From
Friend
Ty.
of mine, Brad Cordry,
Okay.
who's worked for me off and on over the years, was staying at the Lighthouse. So he gave me a call and let me know that it was gone. So I had a little time to prepare myself for that. But walking over the bridge with some other business owners, it was hard to even get his permission to walk over the bridge. But once we crested the top and started walking down, I just started seeing stuff from the restaurant. I mean, there were I think about 1,000 pairs of Hey Dudes scattered all over the bridge that were also in the building, because the sandal factory was
Okay.
the other tenant in the building. And then I've seen bar stools and just, it was like something out of a horror movie.
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing too is as you're standing, I know for us, when we came over the bridge and you're looking, you're like, stuff got you hear that, but then you're like,
Yeah.
wow,
Pictures
it's
don't do it
really just
justice.
not there. Like
Yep.
the landscape is completely changed.
Yeah, I think the
So-
first video of that was Ty, who was the manager at Pete's Time Out, I think. He
Yep.
works in Key West now. I don't know how I saw a picture of him in Key West, but he showed video of the destruction was just unbelievable.
Yep.
But what's weird now is that first row of buildings, when you come down and make the turn, is still there, and they're all open.
Right.
So why do you think that were they built differently than the other buildings in Times Square, or
Well, the Cold Stone in Mr. Wave's building
Yeah.
had actually just been built. It was
so they were
dry,
built to
flood-proof,
code? Gotcha.
built the code, the H2O building. I think, and I think they had the benefit of being one row back.
Right.
So
Right.
the front row kind of killed the surge.
I mean, I think that's when they talk about if you're in the V zone, like
Yep.
it makes a big difference
Yeah.
if you're in the first row versus the second row.
One of the things that I want you all to know too is that there's another business that's going to announce that they're rebuilding. I heard about it yesterday over on the other side of the square, not on the beach side. On the, you guys know that used to be a road. It's the ice cream shop that used to be there. They do have plans to rebuild, and so we're going to be able to tell you about that soon. So you get past all that, and then you decide, John Lalo and Debbie Lalo decide they're going to sell.
Let me just ask this.
yeah.
When you first came over the bridge, when you heard about it and you came over the bridge, was there a moment of hesitation, or was it like, nope, we're just going right into, we're going to get back into this?
Well, the first days were about trying to find out about all my staff,
Yeah.
making sure they were all safe. And there were a few that I knew were in a real bad way. The house had washed away.
On the island. They were stayed on the island.
Yeah. So that's what we were doing the first few days. And then you mentioned Ty, he was down there with me a few days later, and we're like prying through the wreckage just to see if there was anything that at all worth salvaging.
Salvageable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to hand it to my landlords. Chris was with me all the way, talking me through it and encouraging me. And within a week, we went over to somewhere over near Miami, I think Highlight, and bought the food truck. So bought
you knew
that
we were
I think
gonna do
on
something.
October 7th, and it took me about a month to get that registered and operational.
Yeah, and the other thing that happened was the tower became a symbol of the next phase of getting back on our feet on the beach.
It sure did. It sure did. And instead of having it be all ugly and beat up, Chris was able to organize getting the beautiful murals that you see on it today. Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna have Chris on in a minute. Chris also owns Norm's Beach parking lot, so he does own the property with his family, the family trust. I know he gets pissed off at me every time I say he owns the property because he has family members that also own the property that you're going to show.
He just wants it to be accurate.
I know. Where the new building is going to be. So you decide that you're going to do something on the property, and you get a food truck, but you start out with feeding the FEMA folks.
Yeah, well, the first few days was actually we were cooking at my house. We were I had all this food. I had a lot of offsite refrigeration and storage. We moved everything off because I knew I was going to be without power. So I think I had eight freezer doors running in my garage on my whole home generator at home. Luckily, the storm didn't take my house, and we had power when I went home. And so I'm like, what am I going to do with all this food? We just got to start cooking and getting it out. And it was a way for me to, with help of some others, there were a few charities that got involved and helped me with that. But we were able to get some of my staff working and feeding a lot of people. We started hitting some of the hardest hit neighborhoods, the Lindelome area, Harlem Heights. They were just people that they didn't have a lot of stuff to begin with, and they lost everything they had. Yeah.
And then simultaneously you decide you're going to open a new restaurant in
Bell Tower.
Bell Tower.
Yeah.
And you did a crap load of work there.
I did. I think I started.
Let me just ask, do you ever sleep? Because I feel like
I get asked that question by my wife every morning.
Who's sitting right here in the audience.
Your bride for what? A couple of more.
We are going to be celebrating our first anniversary, May 31st.
May 31st. Yeah, cool. So you open up in Bell Tower, but you also are at some point you have to be thinking, I can't be doing a food truck in Times Square forever. Now you see what's going on with the town and FEMA, not the town. FEMA seems to be making the stepchild of why the flood insurance discount has been lost. And so at some point you got to be thinking we got to do something, right?
Yeah. Well, it's great news what came out last week that there's a path for the town to get their flood insurance back. I really hope that with this appeal that we plan on winning this summer, that they won't accuse La Ola of being the reason to hold that up. Yeah.
So the what was the next question we were going to ask you? So you decide that you're going to rebuild. What's the process to go through that?
Well, it starts with today, getting some community feedback on what we've designed so far, and make sure we definitely feel that the location of the property and the uniqueness of it's the entrance to the beach, and I think it's a responsibility of ours to make sure that.
How important is that? Yeah, getting the community.
So important. And when talking to the architect and Rob Fowler, the builder, and Chris, we want this building to be the building that's in the postcards when people, the new postcards.
Right, new postcards.
New postcards.
Yeah.
When
and all the new pictures and new memories.
Have you seen the new lighthouse pictures that they're going to upgrade their facility down there? I mean, this whole area, 5 or 10 years from now, or 20 years from now.
And I think they did a great presentation the other day, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. So, why do you think that a restaurant that was lost in Times Square can be built as a restaurant and survive? Like, how do you convince people that the cheeseburger isn't going to be $75 or something like that? Because, you got to build higher. The costs are higher to rebuild. You got to think about all that.
Yep.
What makes you think it can work?
I think my customers give me the confidence, the support.
You know, speaking of that, giving you a second, I was down on the beach and stopped in your place, and Beth, you know, the
best bartender on the island for 2025.
She said something, and I was like, that is such a great idea. She was talking about, when we were talking about pictures and stuff, how she wished there was some sort of like a yearbook of everybody that comes to Fort Myers Beach, and that you could look through to see the customers in the past and, you know, refresh your memory.
Idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah.
So, because I think
I would certainly benefit from that, because that's one of the hardest things. You know, so many people know my name and want to come up and talk and thank me and support me.
That's what she said. I know.
I wish I knew everyone's name.
And that's why it came to her. I'm like, that is such a great idea, because you have a lot of the places do, but you know, very loyal following, people that have been coming. It was like Pete's. People would be like, we've been coming here for, you know, a bazillion years. It was their one vacation that they would, you know, save for. Hardworking people that would come here once a year and you know, and loved it down here. So bringing that back will be great.
So nice and close,
you guys.
Nice and close, Chris.
You really screwed this up today.
So thank you, roadies. So the property owner is Chris Primo and his family and his trust, and he also owns Norm's Beach parking lot.
I have a friend who's got the same last name as you, but spelled differently, because yours is EAU, right?
Correct.
And theirs is just MO, so it could go either way. Yeah.
So, Chris, how long have you owned the property in Times Square?
How long has your family owned the property?
I want to be clear on that. Yeah, no, since the mid '80s. My father bought it. It was a clothing store, retail store, but it was prior to that. It was a gas station.
Get out!
I swear to God.
There at the end of
it was 7 of Phillips 76. And
do you have pictures of that somewhere? Wow, that would be cool to talk about a yearbook.
I know they exist, but I have not seen them.
Wow. A gas station right there, because that used to be a road that went through there. Then when they had the swing bridge that would come all the way through there.
Yep. And we had a homespun surf shop there that was a local brand. My father retired at like 50 and got bored. And him and my mom.
50 is young.
Well, he was pretty successful up in Detroit in the aluminum siding business.
Mm-hmm.
Came down to Sanibel Island when I was 12. And you know, they got bored, and we got kicked off Sanibel and came to Fort Myers.
Why'd you get kicked off?
It's a long story.
Okay.
But
well, you threw it out there. I mean,
I don't want to. We got a whole other show.
We'll do a show behind the paywall for that.
Yeah.
But they bought the surf shop, and my father was a shooter. You know, he was in everything. You know, 7 days a week that man got up. He would go to the square and hose down the sidewalks and say hi to everybody. And,
nice.
And he didn't know anything about clothing or retail, but you know, at 50 got into the sunglass and bikini business, and I kind of admire that, actually, you know, that he would take that leap. And him and my mother were you know, they were the perfect combination for the mom and pop to start a new generation of business in Times Square.
So you guys take over in what year? The kids?
Never. My father, all the way up until he passed. So he wasn't letting go of any of that. I was a chef. I got out of here and did my own thing. And my sister, now she went into the business, opened her own surf shop in Naples under the same brand. But you know, my father, now everything he let go of had claw marks on it. He was,
Norman and I negotiated the first lease in 2015.
For how much?
Too cheap.
Yeah, that's really one of the primest pieces of property on Fort Myers Beach right there. Yeah, the entrance.
Is that like Fishingist? Primest?
The Fishingist Bridge will be brought back up real soon, everybody.
And the primest property.
Yeah. So how big is that piece of property where La Ola was?
6,600 square feet.
6,600 square feet. Did you also own, is that it, just the La Ola, or was there another building? Did you own part of Anita's shop or no?
No.
Who owns that?
That was Benson.
Okay, Brad Benson, who passed away, so his kids own it.
Correct.
Which is that for sale? He's selling that property for whatever, like $700 million or something. That property, and across the street, he owns a piece of property there
I
too.
believe it's 3 parcels, but it's Anita's location. Local
Gotcha.
Color was adjoined to the Margarita's property.
Yes.
So that would be a double lot. And then across the street is the Times Square Bazaar.
Yep.
And then the vacant lot between that and where Pierside Dairy Queen were, where all the little kiosks were.
So how many kids are in the trust?
Well, we're down to 2 kids left.
Okay.
So the KLC, which currently is listed as the owner,
It's just KL.
no, it's just LC now. My
Okay.
sister Kim passed away last year. So
sorry for that.
from muscular dystrophy, and a lot of the kids in the family had muscular dystrophy. So which was kind of the genius invention of the parking lot is they could work the parking lot even with their handicap.
Yep.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Now, you healthy? You've been
I'm working on it.
okay? Because I know you've been posting some videos in the
Yep.
gym and the whole thing. And so how's that going?
Real well. I had a stroke about 14 months ago. It
Really?
yeah. So I've totally changed. I had gotten rid of most of my bad habits except for cigars and eating junk food. So now I don't do any of that.
Wait. You've gotten rid of the bad habits, but you still
No, I
smoke
think-
cigars and
Oh yeah.
eat junk food.
I was 14 months ago.
Oh, I see. You got rid of those.
You
Yeah.
got rid of
Gotcha.
all of those
Yep.
bad ones. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I'm totally trying to live a clean life and a blessed life at that. I
Yeah.
got a lot of people that count on me, so I'm trying to take care of myself.
How old are you?
58.
So when you had the stroke, like, how long did it take you to recover from that?
So I went to the eye doctor because I thought it was something with my LASIK surgery because my vision of my eye was altered. So
Yeah.
it was a retinal artery occlusion, which really isn't as traumatic as a stroke sounds.
I see.
But so they told me to go, when I went there, they told me to go to the emergency room.
I see.
So yeah.
Okay.
And I went
Yeah.
to I got in my car and drove myself to the emergency room and spent 2 days being analyzed. And doctor said I needed to clean my act up.
I see.
So that's what I did.
Good. So you and is it your brother or sister?
Sister.
left?
My
So
sister,
you got
Lisa.
your brother and your sister Lisa now own the property.
Correct.
Now, are you all together that you want to rebuild? Like, has she's part of like, yes, let's rebuild?
Yeah, there's in the family we get along, and that we're in agreement that that we didn't want to rebuild and put a business there for ourselves. I mean, that was the challenge. So after the storm, what do you do? So do we go out and build a $5 or $6 million building and then try to rent it? That's impossible.
Right.
So the idea is to try to find somebody, which we were lucky to have
Yes.
somebody who we hand over the reins or the legacy is to us. It's a huge responsibility on who goes there and what goes there. It's just not anything we wouldn't be here if we weren't in court with Tom on
Yeah.
this. So
You're in court?
Yeah.
Well,
this
I mean,
is like,
I see.
yeah.
In
So,
his court,
Chris,
in his
let me
court.
sidebar a little bit.
Sure.
You were part of that whole Times Square
Yes.
thingamajig at Diamond Head where you were all going to try and work together and you came up with some nice drawings and
Sure.
stuff. What happened?
I think that the ownership of the people that own property in Times Square are not really going to be the people that are going to be part of the rebuild. It was my estimation. So the idea of that, the way that I got on board with it was that we needed to show possible investors what they could do there so that the people that couldn't come back could sell their property. And to me, that was an exercise that I thought had some merit to it.
Really? You
Absolutely.
thought that exercise had merit. I mean, did you really ever think that?
Well, I didn't know they were going to die, but I mean, I know they wanted to sell.
Yeah.
And the way that it looked, without any plans, without any research, without anything, I didn't think it was going to go anywhere.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So what makes you think as a property owner that you can rebuild a restaurant that was a restaurant and still have him be successful? It's your property. We've seen something fire out in
Sure.
the worst possible way.
Well, my background is in the hospitality industry and restaurant. I mean, I was a consultant. I have a pension from Cisco Foods. So that's the direction I went when I left the island.
Mhm.
And so I have a little bit of knowledge about how that industry works. Tom runs a great company and a great product, but he's doing it in such a challenging environment.
Yes.
If he can be successful in the environment that he has now, imagine if you gave him something that people could go to on a regular basis where he didn't have to lug all the have all the
Right.
issues.
But that aside, Chris, you had somebody that tried to propose a 50-unit hotel because he thought that was the only way that people were going to come back to Times Square. If you went to Times Square during season, there were people walking around in that shithole. It was nothing but sand and broken pavers. They love being there just to say they were there. They want to stand by the clock. They want to stand by the broken pier. They want to go to La Ola. They're going to go there. I mean, so that logic made no sense in addition to the 50-room hotel. But my point is, can he succeed with a restaurant on your property?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Why?
How can you fail? I
He's
mean,
already
it's
succeeding the way it is.
But I didn't ask
So-
you.
there's no other way to look at it.
I'm not questioning his ability to run a restaurant, but my what I'm questioning is, why did one person think you could only do it with a 50-unit hotel? And here's Tom's about to show you pictures for a restaurant.
Well, somebody's process is different than others, you know. And
Okay.
so
Fair enough.
My hope for our neighbors that they become the greatest operators on the planet, and that they welcome people back, and that their business model is above board. And that's my hope and my expectation, actually. But I know that what we're going to do is going to be that, and or I'm not going to be a part of it. It's that simple.
Yeah. So I just want to say one thing about Terry Prasad, or about if Terry came forward. No, seriously, Lori, don't shake your head. If Terry came forward with a beautiful restaurant that was a little bit higher, because you need to be higher, the entire community would be behind him 100%, because they would love to see that restaurant come back. They would love to see a rooftop bar restaurant open to the public.
And a
you
place
know what?
for retail
I don't
shops
think the
to go
town
in.
council, the LPA, would give two shits about public benefit. If he built something like that, it would be so successful. Next to your spot, that's a great spot for something like that.
I would say, if I had any comment to make about the design that he proposed, is that there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of revenue streams. And if you're not versed in a lot of those areas, you could fail, because if you don't have the experience to manage and control those things, because it's a lot of moving parts, I think it's important that whoever goes in it, they're good at what they do. And that's for the entire island because of its location. You know, it needs to have, it's going to represent the island, because it's the first impression a lot of times people are going to have.
Did you want to say something, Tom?
No, just,
I know you don't get into the politics of the whole thing, but neither do I.
I would love to see Terry get something built there.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's
I
just
think
hard
everybody
to-
would.
But I think the community's got to come behind it. I
Yeah.
mean,
He
this
hasn't
is
built
And
up
it's
a lot of
hard
goodwill.
to
Island.
envision
Yep,
a
yep.
hotel there, like in Times Square. That just isn't, to me,
There were a
was
couple
the
of
vibe that
there
was.
were a couple of units there, and there were a couple of places where
those were where people
they
were living.
Yeah, they were. Believe me, but those buildings look like it you could have blew them over. It didn't take a Category 5 hurricane to knock some of those buildings down. They were old. They were rickety. So okay, so let's show some pictures.
Yes.
Great.
So,
Great.
All right.
Let's do a review.
You want me to unveil them for you, Tom?
Yes,
Sure.
good idea. So what we're going to do, we're just going
One at a
to
time.
we're going to unveil all three for the audience, and I'm going to show
Well,
you,
you've got to
Tom. You're going to
turn
have to
that
sit
one.
here.
You never moved the thing.
I'm going to be in charge of the online stuff, and you can be on charge of that. So we're going to show. All right. So for the people that are watching at home, we're going to start with this picture right here.
All right.
Can you see it?
Yep. I got it.
All right. So Tom is going to explain this. Is that the first one we got up? Can you turn it a little bit this way, Chris, so Tom can explain? Nope.
No.
This one right here. This is the
Yes.
first one Tom's going to talk about right here. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, so as you can see, it looks a lot like the elevator shaft. It's the Legacy Tower that's actually standing still. But in fact, that it's not in the picture, but this is right next to Cold Stone. So
Here, I got him up here. She never listens to what I'm saying. Look at everybody. Look at this. How excited people are to what you're doing, man. That's all you, Tom. That's all you. Go ahead.
So that would be a stairwell. Would be the first thing you see when you come over onto the bridge with the beautiful mural. Is
Yes.
what our plan is, welcoming people to Fort Myers Beach.
Yeah, what I like about that, Tom, is you can see that the height. I think the tower is 35 feet. Is that right, Chris?
Yes.
So the tower is 35 feet. You can see that you're not going. Is this the scale? Go ahead, Chris. Because you can see that
we're only going one above flood.
One above flood. So one building above flood, because you can't have anything but seating.
Underneath.
You can't have, you got to have breakaway stuff on the ground floor, right?
Removable stuff.
We fully plan on operating on the first floor, but there are limitations as to what you can have there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to?
Okay. So yeah. Further behind the stairwell with the murals on it, you can see some doors. If you look closely, that's how we are able to hide where the trash, where the refrigeration trailers, where the and a large restroom trailer, so we can have some bathrooms on ground level, so all of you don't have to go up 14 feet to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Now, what's this yellow over here, Tom?
You forgive me, I can't see anything on
You
the
got
screen.
you got some yellow over here that looks like a tiki.
That is an entryway that if you're coming over from Margaritaville, that's the entrance that you would use.
Okay.
And once you walk in, you'll
Take it
see
this way.
the elevator shaft would be right in that nook, right in here.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you guys want to come up and take pictures, feel free. I mean, you're not going to be blocking anything if you come up. All right. So this is the second view. Now he's going to talk about this one right here that you guys see this way. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. So what you're looking at there would be over that part of the building with the large open air tiki hut would be right over where our food truck is now and the food truck seating. So our property jets out the corner of that building would come right out close to the curb where you're turning into Times Square. And you can see, I think,
Like where the bus depot is, like where the bus drop off
see
is?
the Humvee in the picture? That would be our existing parking spots.
And so you're
Okay.
going to
We
keep
park
the
that.
existing parking spots. You're not going to try and use that as part of your build?
No,
Because is that
keep
your
the existing
gotcha.
parking spots that are inside there.
Now, do you have enough space in your 65 square feet to build this building?
You and I talked about that. Like the pictures are amazing.
Yes.
According
it's
to the
hard
people
to
that are
scale.
designing it, yes.
It's
The
hard to
scale
wrap your
looks
head
so
around it.
big,
Yes.
So you're like,
It doesn't look big, high big, but it looks like.
No, it looks long big.
And when you remember how small the rest. What?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Wait, what?
it looks beautiful.
No.
Of
Did
course
I make it
looks
sound like it didn't?
beautiful. No, it looks beautiful. It's just the scale.
I can't.
It's hard to.
It's hard to
envision
picture
that.
what you used to go to when it was open. That
Right.
that you can do something like this
And it's
spectacular.
not
So
just your. It's every reveal.
now this is the one that really made us look like, wow, that can you fit all that stuff in that space? So this is the third picture, which is the one in the middle.
Yeah, so this will be the view if you're walking down from the Times Square clock, walking down, and this would be on your left. So we really tried to use as much of the property coming out at the entrance of the square and make that tiki hut as big as possible because, one, no matter what gets built across from us, we're still going to have the views through Crescent Beach Park.
Yeah.
So you have ocean views and on one angle, and I believe a lot of that seating is going to be able to look straight down through the square and see sunsets and the Times Square clock. through the
If you're
majority
sitting
of the
there,
year.
what ocean can you see?
The Gulf of America.
That's an Adderhole thing. So this up here, at the top is going to be outdoor seating. So will you have a kitchen? Where's the kitchen going to be? Did you say that already and I forgot?
The first picture with the murals on it. Right. That's
the picture.
so that's the stairwell. The stairwell is that back stairwell is where how the servers are going to go up and down with the food.
We're going to put Rob in the seat here too, because Rob's going to be building this restaurant. Oh, Chris, you just knocked the other one over. That's $1,000 in the grass right there. So
Yeah,
Rob,
this is going to be easier for me.
Rob, jump in anytime you want. Rob Fowler from Fowler Construction, everybody. Rob is also building the whale. His company is also building the whale. Okay, very nice, Chris. Very nice. You're a lovely Vanna White. Okay, what were you going to say, Tom, about this first picture? So
Well, you asked where the kitchen was. So if we went back to the one with the murals on it, the area above where all the trailers are hidden
Yes.
is where the kitchen would be. Yes.
Gotcha. All right. So we're back to the third picture. So you're coming down Times Square. This is all how many tables and whatnot do you think you're going to have up top?
Well, the total count for seats on the existing plan is just over 400 seats.
400 seats.
Yeah.
And what did you have before?
80, 90, something
Okay.
like
Wow.
that. Maybe. Yeah.
So that extra story gets you that many more seats.
Yeah. We plan on doing as much on the ground level as possible.
Yeah.
We want, this is a heavy foot traffic area. People are already out of their cars and they're walking around, and we want it to be as inviting as possible at the ground level.
So I'm just trying to read some of the comments. Definitely has the Fort Myers Beach vibe. I love it. I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Has that been approved? Not yet. It's just the first picture. For crying out loud, give us a break. Love the vibe. Just kidding, Agnes. Now this is the first picture anyone's ever seen of it. So Rob, you gonna make this happen?
Absolutely. I'm watching in the background right now, and one of the things I was struck with is, we've all seen so many pretty pictures of so many things that are proposed up and down the beach. What we can say in this isn't just a dream. This has been plotted out. Nothing ever ends up exactly like the rendering. I mean, that's just the fact. But this is very doable. Both I know you guys were struggling a little bit with the scale, but it does actually fit. And I think the most telling of all of these is the view from Times Square. And when Tom says there's a lot of seats potentially here, know that it's still very much grounded right down on Times Square. The bulk of this is happening, at ground level. We'll get it built with FEMA approvals and all that, but the focus of this is still
So
right
for some
downtown.
perspective of people coming over the bridge, because you hear a lot about people want to see the view coming over the bridge. They see the tower. You have the restaurant out front that's facing the bridge. How high up will it be? Will it be the height of the tower, below the tower, a little above the tower?
The tower is a very good example of,
Yeah.
of about how high it's going to be.
Okay.
As Tom said, it's one story over FEMA. So, for instance, that's
That's a great picture of it right there.
I
Yeah.
don't know which one you're looking
Yep.
at, sir.
Where the tower is. You got
Okay,
the picture of.
Gotcha.
Did you call me sir? That was a mistake.
I don't know. I'm a Southerner, so I don't know how to
Right.
do it otherwise.
Jackass coffee. Jackass would be fine.
That was classic, by the way. I love Anita.
Did you watch
and
that? Yeah.
That was I was rolling watching it. But flood, the flood elevation is about where the sunset line is on that tower. Just for perspective. So everything we got to build is above it. We are in a V zone that makes it challenging. We will deal with breakaway walls, but that's the art of this.
I have to say, I think the rendering is amazing because there's been some renderings that have come through where people were like, "Oh, not good." This is good right out of the gate by the response from the people here.
So Tim wants to know: will you be able to close off the bar and seating when there's bad weather?
Yes. So if you go back to the view from the square, we plan on having, I believe, roll up glass
At the top, on the top
garage
level,
doors.
so people can still come out
yes.
when it rains.
Okay, so the top level is going to be air conditioned inside
Oh,
with,
sweet.
with an outside deck on the front of it that's you
Oh,
can
man,
walk
that is
back and
nice,
forth
Tom.
to the
Mhm.
open air tiki bar. But then maybe we should go to put the plan drawings up there so you can see how the seating all works out.
Yeah, you can do that. We don't have a copy of it for online, but Tom brought the plan so you can see that. How many square feet is this project?
Oh, you would ask me that straight off the top.
You are a builder, right?
I am a builder,
mean,
but
you
hey,
should-
it's still
should know
concept.
that.
So, we're maximizing that square footprint that we've got. I think the footprint on this was about 4,200 square feet, and then we've
That's
got
it?
different. Well, we've
It
got different.
looks so much
it-
bigger than that.
It does. That's sometimes the deception of pretty pictures.
Yeah.
It's very functional though, and we are capitalizing.
Chris,
both on
what is
space
the old
above and
piece?
below.
What was the old square footage on the property? 6,600 square feet. And what did you say the new square footage was?
I thought we had per floor about 4,200 square feet, which
So
we've
you
got space
got-
above and
Because
below.
you're stacking it.
Sure.
We now have to deal with something we didn't have to before. That's vertical circulation as well.
Tom, part of the issue in Times Square
Vertical
is
circulation.
That's a big word.
Here,
I
I
went to
wasn't-
college for
That is a
that.
big-
I was in the middle of a
I
question.
know, but you don't get the big words, so that's all right.
So part of the problem with Times Square is it's not flat. It's you got curbs, you got palm trees, you got places where there used to be palm trees. Are they going to fix that for you?
Good question. talked
Tom,
about this.
You know not to say that.
Got to give Ed credit once in a while. So the way I think this, what probably make the most sense is when anybody builds in the square, is that you start your construction in the middle of the square and work your way back, so that that we have the right grade and slope.
Maybe that was a
up.
better question for you, Rob. Do you think that the town needs to get their game together with that? It's really awful right there.
Well, absolutely. And ironically, I remember when you could drive through that square, and I remember when they bought it in 1980. I thought it was 1982, but that we actually built for Norm down there. And I remember when Times Square got built. It's interesting, same sort of processes we're going through now, different time, different people. But I think it's absolutely critical, yes, that the town comes together with leadership to bring together that group. And I know what that means when I say that. That's a challenge and a half. But a comprehensive plan for what's going to happen with Times Square is the only way. Otherwise, we're going to get, fortunately, we've got some leadership in a position, and a physical position, that can lead this redevelopment. If you had one of the properties in the middle of Times Square and you're trying to lead it, it's going to be really, really challenging. So we hope, I know we three here, we hope that we can be a leader in that, and first one.
Yes.
Kind of like we do with the whale. First foot out the door, first one to get shot with a lot of things.
What do you guys know about the Benson family? I know when Brad died, the property moved on to the kids, but it was locked in a trust, and it was for sale. What is going on with that property?
Well, I know the Benson family well. Brad actually was my landlord. I lived in one of their properties over the bridge on Prescott Street for a long time, and I was sad to see Brad pass away. His twin children, it's Tyler and Bradford, are the current owners, or their trust in place. I think it's tied up for a little bit, as so often happens after somebody dies. But
so their plan is to sell. They don't want to build. They want to sell the property.
I don't know if they're 100% decided on that, but it is listed for sale.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with Times Square. You don't have agreement on what's going to happen down there, and they got one crackpot that wants to build a hotel.
You've got property owners, and then you've got the town owning property. So I mean, you got a lot of different players in there.
So what's the time frame here? When are we opening? Right? That's the question everybody cares about.
The best part of that answer is, to me, the construction's the easy part and the fast part. We still got to go through all the procedures. We got to take this through staff. We got to take it through LPA. We got to take it through the whole gamut we got to run.
Well,
so
the way that you have it set up with the one over flood, right? One over flood. Right. It doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue, because that's what you can build by right in Times Square.
I think we could actually go another floor by right.
But it would cost like an arm and a leg.
It would definitely cost more, yes.
Yeah. So, Tom, you feel comfortable?
Can I just ask?
Oh, did you want to play in the game today, too?
Let me have a thing in here. So once all the front stuff gets done, what's the time frame to build it? Because you're going to have to actually, you're going to have to move your stuff out and be closed while he builds it. Well, not you personally, but your group.
Well, if you're waiting on me to build it, it'd take a long time. But
So how long?
No, the construction of this should be somewhere in the order of about 9 months. Because
relax, people.
Everybody, that's for when we get the permit.
That's construction, not
like all the
permit stuff. I'm asking.
Not the permits. No, that's once we get the permits in hand, we can actually start building. Just like so many other things down here, you see, we'll get to work on this. We'll be a month in this, and you won't have yet seen a thing, because we putting pilings under the ground.
Yeah, I think that you're misunderstanding how important Times Square is to this town council and this town, that everything would get put to the top of the pile when they see something that's ready to go.
I sure hope so. And I think ideally,
unless there's a recall or something.
Ideally, what we need to have happen is, one, we as you know, we have an administrative case that's still pending, or an appeal. That's the quickest that's going to happen is probably mid to late July. We fully plan on winning that appeal. We need to get our temporary use permit reinstated and extended. Our business, our plans submitted to the town.
For those, let me just I want to make sure everybody knows what's going on. Tom's attorney, Amy, who's filed a whatever it's called with the court. The town now has 30 days to answer what Tom has filed to stay open, because you disputed the ruling by the special magistrate, and the town has promised not to fine La Ola anything until this entire thing has been taken care of. The town attorney wanted to fine them $250 a day starting on March 1st, but they decided that they were going to hold back on that until everything was decided by the court, which is the circuit court in Lee County, which you could take forever. The circuit court just decides to rule on these things whenever they decide to rule on those
Well,
things.
I hope not. We're hoping for a quick process here.
Yeah.
We believe in our case. It's a strong case, and we think the town just got put in a really bad situation here.
For sure. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone at the town wanted to do that, but FEMA made them do it. And the strangest thing about it is, while this thing is still going on, FEMA says that the town's getting their 25% insurance discount back, which just makes it seem like
Excellent.
none of it makes any sense.
Yep.
None of it makes any
So
sense.
between winning the appeal and having the plan submitted for a rebuild, like the town has always wanted, we needed to have plans to rebuild by the 3rd anniversary of Ian.
Here comes the date, everybody. Get your pen out.
So ideally, and as long
In a
as
perfect
long as
world.
the town doesn't hold us up, we would love to go under construction next May.
Next May of 2026, 9 months to build.
So Christmas.
No,
Ish.
Hopefully, catch the tail end of the next
Yeah.
season.
In
Yeah,
2020
we're gonna miss some time.
6 or 7.
I believe we'll be opening early spring of 27. Yeah.
I think you can do it in 7 months.
Spring 27. Everybody here in this
He'll come
audience is
down
going to
and
put a
swing
hard
a
hat
hammer.
on and work on the building. So 9 months. That's freaking amazing, man. Did you ever think that when you walked over that bridge and saw what you saw, that you'd be presenting these kinds of pictures to people?
No. You know,
Nice job, dear. Nice job.
how
Do
do
you want
I
me to
say
pinch
this?
you
No,
or
how do I
pinch
say
him?
this? You know, I've just had so much support along the way, and my faith and everyone has told me that it just hasn't been revealed yet, but God's plan is going to be revealed.
Amen.
So what is the plan while the construction is going on for what you're going to do?
Build fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Build fast.
Can
You know,
you-
hopefully we can keep the food truck open, find another
Okay.
location for that. It's a little trickier to keep the liquor going because, you know, there's approval process. You can't just move your liquor license around.
Oh, is there?
and make
But it would be
mobile.
sweet if somebody on Times Square could help you out while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody, you've.
I don't
there's-
know that anyone wants to commit to that right now, but you know, hopefully that
Yeah,
that kind of
long way away.
situation could come up. Yeah.
One of the things that's interesting, Tom, is that you really never wanted to give up Times Square. You could have looked. There's some open spaces down in Old San Carlos, so you could have gone to Santini Plaza. I mean, Urive is great down there with restaurants. I mean, they'd love to have you down in Santini Plaza. But why you were like you change yourself to Times Square? Why?
I don't know. It's where I want to be. I come over that bridge every morning. Some of my favorite times are first thing in the morning. I'm the only one there, and it's just I feel it's where I belong. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions in the audience? Anything else you want to say, Tom?
No, thank you for giving us the time
Oh,
today.
this was
to
great,
to
man.
share
This was great.
So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm guessing your team is going to put the pictures up on your site now so everybody can go and look at them.
Yeah, and actually, I think we might actually find a space on the wall down at La Ola if you want to come down and
Sweet.
celebrate Cinco de Mayo
Yeah.
and talk it over. I'd love to get some community feedback.
Rob, I know you're doing a lot of stuff on the island. What are some of the other projects your team is working on?
Well, you know, the interesting thing you talk about seeing pretty pictures. We get presented with a lot of pretty pictures. And one of the biggest things I'm spending my time with, unfortunately, is trying to get people's expectations in line with what we're going to deal with permitting and what's actually viable to build. I see so many that just aren't viable. So I've got my hands on a bunch of projects, but there's not a lot that are going heading towards vertical yet. We're all
Why?
up and down
Why?
this beach. It's still a question. I tell people there's a real answer, there's a right answer and a real answer. And with post Ian trying to reapply development codes that were never made in consideration of new construction effectively. And now we've got so much new construction, every project is blazing a new trail. And without that consistent target, you don't get to go back and say, really, hey, this is what is expected. This is what we're doing. It fits within the parameters of the code. Every one of them is a new process. So that takes time.
How much greater is the challenge? We talked about the V zone. How much greater is the challenge to build in the V zone versus any other special flood zone?
Construction wise, the challenge is there's just more stuff. I mean, we deal with scour depths and all kinds of crazy engineering and things like that. But the part that's tough about it is if you're on the V zone side of the line versus the A zone side of the line, and you have to put your project together and make numbers work, you may be 25% more in the cost to put your project back because you're on the V zone side. So the challenge isn't on the construction, the challenge is in the funding of the projects. And then ultimately, can I make the pro formas work? And I think that you asked what's stymieing some of it. Sometimes it's easy to point right at the politicians and the bureaucrats and all the rest of that. But right now, the market is saying that the cost is prohibitive to build so many things back. So that's why we see things taking a long time to come through. And my quick editorial, it's why we see so many grand designs and things like this that people may or may not ever have the ability or intention to build, but they're going to go out and try to get the entitlements and sell it to somebody.
I see.
Let me just ask,
is it
a permitting thing too? Is it much more, is the process longer for that in the V zone, or is it just what you said?
No, it's a different set of things we have to deal with when we go in the design, primarily in the engineering and the criteria we have to do there. B zone, A zone is not a zoning issue like land use zoning. Right. Those are the things that get prickly, really, or the land use and those that go to the politics. This is really a construction code that we deal with. The trick is for anybody that has to deal on the other side of the coastal construction control line, the CCCL. That brings in many, many more layers of. Man,
we need to do a show just with you on it, so you can explain all the challenges that now. You saw the proposal for what Terry was trying to do. What do you think that would have cost?
I didn't take a whole lot of time looking at it.
He's very busy, dear.
Yeah, and I not to dissuade anybody. Like I said, I see pretty pictures all the time, and I honestly just don't pay a lot of attention.
You didn't think he had any intention of building it?
I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. I know that if I were looking to develop a piece of property, I want to put something together that maximizes the entitlements that I can do for it, whether I'm going to build it or not.
Right.
And
gotcha.
And the question is down here. I said a minute ago, there is no established target on Fort Myers Beach at this point for development. So sometimes, and with Mike and Don, we actually said, look, we just got to put something out there. And in that case, something we knew would work. But we got to put something out there and see where the pushback comes, and then we'll adjust and deal with it. So I don't know anything about Terry or anything really about that project. I saw the big grand pictures, and I don't know what else to say about it. I'm not surprised that it got a very, very strong pushback. And I'm not sure they weren't expecting that.
Yeah. Folks, when we put the pictures for La Ola up on our Facebook page, please respond and let everybody know how you feel about it. You did a great job when we did put the ones up for the 50-unit hotel. Times Square is sacred ground on Fort Myers Beach, and this looks like it's going to be the big anchor when it gets built in 2025, by September 2025.
Hey, if you say I can build, we'll get started.
Yeah.
I'm good. But I remember when the town was selecting the color of those pavers to put all up and down here.
I know. They are butt ugly.
Yeah. I remember. I still have some of the original samples.
Just older.
Yeah, they are.
I still have some of the original samples from back
For those
in the
of you
90s.
that are new to the show, the town actually had a very nice plan to rebuild Times Square.
Yeah.
The pictures look great. You never knew what it was going to be. All the business owners were going to get overhang so that when the bad weather came around,
pergolas.
it really did look nice. And the town was going to they still have to redo everything underground there, because that's, that was part, there's a leaking problem and the whole water problem. So they have to redo all that underneath, but they really did a nice plan that they worked through for a long time that obviously fell through with the storm. So Tom, you ready to be the anchor?
I hope so. Yes.
All right. Any final thoughts for your fans here?
No, just thank you for all your continued support.
Big hand for Tom from La Ola and from our friends from Fowler and Chris over here. Good luck, Tom. Thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody, before we get out of here, don't forget tomorrow our show with the mayor is back at Wahoo Willie's. And we have plenty to ask the mayor about what's going on with the new town manager and a bunch of other stuff. Oh, yes, I will do this after I read the ads. Stick around, everybody. Please don't hang up the phone. I need to tell you about the Island Pancake House. If you tuned in yesterday, you saw our interview with Anita was at the Island Pancake House. They're over at the Seagrape Plaza. They're open 7 days a week. They have 2 events coming up this week. The Women's Club has an event on what night of the week is the Women's Club? Wednesday night. You dudes are allowed in the Women's Club. It's $75 a year, and they might ask you to volunteer, but really you're helping with the rebuild when you become a member of the Women's Club. So they're going to be there on Wednesday night. I'm a member of the Women's Club, and I think you're going to sign up your husband here. What time is the event on Wednesday? 6:30. And I think Tuesday night, the Community Foundation is going to be handing out all their money. But you can also go there to have breakfast. And they have an open bar, which I know people on Fort Myers Beach, not an open bar, I didn't mean to say that, but they have a full bar at the Islands Pancake House. And please say hi to Brian and Stacy. They are 2 of the nicest people you're ever going to want to meet anywhere. Also, Parrot Key, just over on the other side of the bridge, on San Carlos Island, which we're all going to own soon if John King gets his way. Parrot Key has waterfront dining at Salty Sands Marina. Island time is all the time at Parrot Key. They have Sunday brunch from 9 a.m. until noon featuring Monster Marys. Monster Marys. Is that a Bloody Mary? With food. Bottomless mimosas. Oh, boy, that sounds like it could be a long day. And lobster eggs Benedict, twin lobster tails for Sunday dinner and Sunday brunch. The great Frank Torino performs every Thursday and Saturday night at Parrot Key. So stop on down or check them out online at myparrotkey.com. All right, who's going to draw the winner? You get a choice. Where'd Tom go? Chris is going to pull the name out, and then we'll give away a prize. For those of you that are watching online, you get to win nothing because you have to be present to win. And the winner is Todd Z. It's Todd Z here. All right, Todd, you win. Thank you all for coming to the show today, and we will see you tomorrow at Wahoo Willie's. Kim's doing a boat around tomorrow with our friends from Walker's Marine at 12 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.